What up, everybody? It's the Rottweiler Patriots. I'm Vegas.
And I'm T-Bone.
And we're coming at you with another video today where we're going to be doing our Divisional Round predictions. Last week, I went 4-2. T-Bone here went 3-3 to bring my score up to 168 and 110 to 167, 111. So I take a one-game lead over T-Bone. Headed into the divisional round, we are, of course, competing over the course of the entire season. If you would like to compete alongside of us, please feel free to do so. And with that being said, let's jump right into this one. Starting off with the Baltimore Ravens hosting the Houston Texans. The Ravens coming off of the bye. They, of course, are the #1 seed in the AFC and have been the best team in the NFL this year, have the best record in the NFL this year. Now, they did lose their last game in the regular season, but they also were not playing any of their starters, and they were playing a Pittsburgh Steelers team who needed a win to make the playoffs in really bad weather conditions. So that kind of understandable for them. They were really resting guys. So effectively, their best players are on 2 weeks of rest, which, you know, there's obviously a rust concern there. Like, okay, our guy's going to be a little rusty. And you kind of saw that with the Ravens in 2019. But regardless, the Ravens still been the best team in the NFL, and they've been very fun to watch. Whereas the Houston Texans, with a massive blowout win over the Cleveland Browns, a big-time upset, even though they were the home team. It felt like the Browns had the better record and felt like the Browns were playing better football. But C.J. Stroud gets the job done in a big way for Houston. Now, they'll be really up against it against this very, very good Ravens team. But if the Texans play anything like they did against Cleveland, this will be a very entertaining game. T-Bone, your thoughts?
I want to make it very clear by saying I fully well believe the Texans could win. I think they could win. I don't think they are going to win. I think the Ravens are going to win just based on just how they've performed, how Lamar's been performing, the coaching, an actual competent wideout room. And obviously, Vegas, you're right, there is that rust factor there. But I mean, really, it's just it's David versus Goliath. But in this case, I think Goliath's going to win. I think the Ravens will. But I do think the Texans absolutely have a shot.
I also think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to get the job done. Now, they'll be up against it. This is a hot Texans team. Had to win a lot of games down the stretch to even win the division and make the playoffs. They were able to do that, and their defense had probably their best game of the season against a very talented Cleveland Browns offense last week. Picked off a red-hot Joe Flacco for 2 pick sixes. So obviously, the Texans going to be riding a lot of momentum, but I think the Ravens are going to be able to stop it, put together a good performance, and get a win. And once the Ravens get going here in these playoffs, I don't know if there's going to be a way to stop them. Alrighty, up next, we've got ourselves the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Green Bay Packers. The Niners, of course, the 1 seed in the NFC, got the first round bye. They also rested players in their last regular season game and lost to the Rams, who already had a playoff spot, but were looking for better seeding, and of course were able to get it with a win over San Francisco. But again, San Francisco had already clinched the 1 seed by then, so their final regular season game is meaningless and not an indication of anything for this team. They're effectively on 2 games of rest themselves, and they've also been a very good, very complete team this year. So you look at the Niners and the Ravens, you can kind of compare them, and you're like, okay, how are both of these teams going to be able to handle, the rust factor of not having all their guys, having really played in 2 weeks. Again, the rest factor is also a big deal, but the rest factor can be a killer. And then you've got the Green Bay Packers coming in as the 7 seed and are the first 7 seed to ever advance to the divisional round with an upset win over the Dallas Cowboys. You saw Jordan Love and that offense just play absolutely spectacular football Love to see what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. And I got to give a lot of credit to Joe Barry and the Green Bay Packers defense. In the last 2 weeks, they have cleaned up a lot of their issues, and that was the big thing that was holding this team back was their defense. It's why we both had the Cowboys winning last week, is because their defense just hasn't been good, but their defense stepped up in a big way against Dallas. Now, obviously, later in the game, Dallas got themselves back and even, started to make some Packers fans a little bit nervous. So there's still some issues, as you could see later in the game, but compared to what the Packers defense was doing before, it was a big improvement. And with Jordan Love in the offense playing as well as they have been, the Packers just need their defense to play half as good as they did against Dallas, and they'll have a shot in this one. T-Bone, your thoughts?
I completely agree with you in entirety. Vegas, it should be studied how the Packers have been able to acquire this much QB talent just continually. I mean, same story as last time with the Ravens and Texans. Packers could very well win this. I just think the 49ers are that team. So I've got the Niners.
I also have the San Francisco 49ers. The other thing, too, for me is the 49ers and the Packers have a pretty long playoff history, and it has been largely one-sided, especially recently. The Niners have given the Packers a lot of heartbreak, and that's with the Packers often being the favorites in some of those games. The Packers are not a better football team than the San Francisco 49ers, and as long as the Niners are healthy, which, 2 weeks of rest, obviously, will they rust? Who knows? I think the Niners are going to get the job done. You saw last week, Packers in Dallas, that's a game that has a lot of history, and they tend to win it. In fact, Green Bay has won more playoff games in AT&T Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys have. So I think the trend continues, and I think the 49ers going to be able to get the job done. Alrighty, up next, we've got ourselves the Detroit Lions taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Lions able to get one out, squeeze it out against the Los Angeles Rams. We talked about how both of those teams looked really, really good and how they're both very similar in skill, and we saw that, a 1-point game, 24-23, and the Lions, for the first time in over 30 years, get their first playoff win, and they get their first playoff win ever in Ford Field. And I would like to wish a strong congratulations to the Detroit Lions and to Lions fans. No one deserves it more than you all. You all put up with so much, have to deal with so much, and y'all have earned this. I'm excited to watch this Lions team. They are one of the best teams in the NFL. They're one of the few teams who I think could take down the likes of San Francisco and Baltimore. And so they've been playing great, great football. Got a huge win against a very good Rams team. Their defense stepped up big time in that second half, and their offense did enough to get the job done. Whereas you go over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Baker Mayfield put on a show. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin also looked really good. The whole team just looked really, really good against the Philadelphia Eagles. And now the Eagles, of course, middle of a massive collapse, started 10-1 and then only won one of their last 7 games and crashed out of the playoffs. Abysmal performance from the Eagles, but the Buccaneers aren't going to complain. They didn't just barely beat Philadelphia. They absolutely dominated them throughout the course of the entire game, played great football, and you saw in this one what Tampa Bay is capable of as a football team. Now, obviously, the biggest issue for me in Tampa Bay is their consistency. If they play the way they did last week, or like they did against Green Bay a few weeks ago, against this Lions team, or against the 49ers, they'll have more than a chance to win. But they have to be able to stay consistent. That's been a big thing with them, is they'll come in, play a great game, then the next week lay an egg and not play very well. So it's going to be on them to show up again this week and show, hey, this isn't just a one-off. We're going to be able to play consistently good football. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Firstly, I want to say, one, congratulations to the Detroit Lions. Very much something to celebrate. Other than that, thank you, Jason Kelsey. You were a great center. Um, Other than that, I absolutely think either team could win this, and it's at this point because the Bucks just have to play more consistent, and they have to hold on to that defense. Baker Mayfield can't screw this up. Um, that being said, I've got the Lions. I just think the defense is gonna distract Baker a little bit, and the run game with the Lions is gonna just be a little bit too much for the Buccaneers. That being said, if the Lions are going to have to win this, Dan Campbell's going to have to make the right calls during the right time because you see he's a Madden coach. He goes for it on 4th and 8, does fake punts and all that. So just going to have to reel that in. But yeah, that's why I got the Lions.
I also have the Detroit Lions getting the win in this one. I think that the Lions are a better football team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they have played better, and I think they've played more consistently. And that's the big thing for me with the Lions is they have played more consistently than Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay's defense is absolutely going to be a problem, especially if they play the way they did against Philadelphia here against Detroit. And they can give Detroit a lot of trouble. But I think Detroit is going to do enough to be able to overcome a red-hot Buccaneers team and get the win. And finally, up next, we've got ourselves the Buffalo Bills taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a game that we have seen a lot of before. Both of these teams pretty comfortable wins over their respective opponents in the previous round. The Buffalo Bills head into a blizzard against Pittsburgh Steelers. Blizzard was so bad they actually had to postpone the game. And even then, it was still a giant snow pile in the stadium. Of course, you love to see the videos of a whole bunch of Bills fans on a giant mound of snow jumping onto a flaming table because the Bills Mafia is just undefeated, I guess. But the Bills, with a pretty good performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers, great on both the offense and the defensive side of the ball. And the big thing for me that makes this Bills team a little bit different than previous ones, they've had consistency issues. They've had games where, they didn't play as well. They still got wins. The two big ones that stick out to me are Los Angeles Chargers and New England Patriots, where they won those games where they weren't convincing. But they've still won the vast majority of their games down the stretch after a 6-6 start to get them all the way up to the 2 seed, which is impressive in and of itself. The big thing for them is they unlocked the run game. In previous playoff runs, they did not have that, and the run game for them this year has been huge. James Cook has just done a great job on this team, and that's opened things up a lot for Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs to work their magic. So Bills playing red hot right now, comfortable win over the Steelers, whereas the Kansas City Chiefs didn't play in a blizzard, but it certainly felt like one. It was so cold that Mahomes' helmet broke from a helmet-to-helmet hit, and he had to have it replaced, which should have resulted in a flag because the Chiefs didn't call a timeout and Mahomes didn't leave the field for a play, but the referees are the referees, Referee's gonna referee, and that's the big wild card with this game. But anyway, the Chiefs played absolutely excellent against the Miami Dolphins, completely shut them down, and showed they were ready for the cold weather. And so, the Bills it's going to be cold. It always is cold at this time of year in Buffalo. Bills-Chiefs, usually Kansas City hosts this game. This will be the first time it's in Buffalo. But both teams are more than used to the cold. They both know how to play in the cold. So that's not going to be an advantage one way or the other. Now, these two teams did meet earlier this year, and the Buffalo Bills did win. And that's the reason the Bills are 2 and the Chiefs are 3 here. That's the reason the Bills are hosting this game. So obviously a huge game here, a game that we've seen several times in recent playoffs. So a lot of history between these two guys. But it feels like for the first time the Bills might have the advantage in this one. T-Bone, your thoughts?
I very well think the Bills are going to go in to Buffalo and beat the Chiefs. I do. I think the Chiefs are going to lose fully. I don't know. this year's different, man. I think this year is the year that Josh Allen, gets over that hump, beats Patrick Mahomes, and then gets bounced in the AFC Championship again because that's what he's addicted to doing. So I've got the Bills. I've got it. I think just Josh Allen is just that steamroller. I think Bills are winning.
I also have the Buffalo Bills getting the job done. For me, the Chiefs' offense has not been very good. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been good. And the other thing, too, is this is going to be the first time ever in Patrick Mahomes' career where he will have to play an away playoff game. He's outside of Super Bowl, which is a neutral site, of course. And that doesn't really count. Although Mahomes stands like Tampa Bay, like no, it's a neutral site. Shut up. First time ever playing an away playoff game, and it's gonna be in Buffalo. The Bills are better. The Bills' offense is running much better, and the Chiefs' defense has gotten them to this point. But they're gonna have their hands full against a two-pronged attack of Josh Allen in the passing game and James Cook in the running game, and Josh Allen also in the running game because Josh Allen can run. You saw he had a 50-something yard, I think 56 maybe it was, touchdown run against the Steelers. Now, that did come off of a fake slide that should be, banned, and that led to later.
Wrong.
The fake slide should be banned because then what happened later in the game is Josh Allen actually slid, and a player didn't even hit him. It was kind of he touched him, but it wasn't a hit. But the player was trying to, make the play because he didn't know if Josh Allen was faking the slide or not, and then he gets called 15 yards for it. So you put defenders in an impossible position because if you go for it, if you dive at him and he slides, you're going to get called for 15 yards. But if you don't dive at him and he doesn't slide, he just gets to run past you. It isn't fair to the defenders.
That, but I think we should not be hard on our defense. I think we can still have the fake slide and not be hard on our defense.
I think the fake slide does not put people in a good position, but that's a discussion for another time. Regardless, the Bills also have a solid defense. It's not the greatest thing on planet Earth, but it's still solid enough.
It's manageable.
Yeah.
It's manageable.
Where I think it's going to be tough for Mahomes to be able to keep up with what Josh Allen on the offense are doing. So I think that Buffalo is going to get the win. Alrighty, that is going to wrap things up. Please be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Feel free to drop your own predictions or anything else you'd like. We would love to hear what you all have to say. And that is going to do it for us today. Thank you all so very much for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button. Please be sure to subscribe. And we will see you all in the next video.